This is a new day to try to get right. This is a new day to get on track. Yeah, that's life in football. This is a new day to live your life. This is a new day to try to get right. This is a new day to get on track. Yeah, that's life in football. It's life in football. We are life in football.
Welcome to the Life in Football podcast, baby. I'm your host, Mike Feed.
And this your coach, Cole and Moore. You know we loving life and enjoying football.
Top-notch coaches all around the world. Top-notch coaches all around the world. Today we got a very special guest on by the name of Andy Gay, head coach, athletic director, county commissioner, equipment manager. He done did everything. And this is a legendary person for Gaston County, Quincy, Florida, man. I got so much respect for Coach Gay. I remember as a young kid, getting ready to go to Shanks, but like in elementary and middle school, I would always see him because I used to love football. I used to go to the games. And back at these times, I used to love like schools like Tennessee. Don't hate on me now, y'all. I used to love the Tennessee Volunteers. I used to just like them because they linebackers. Florida State, Penn State. It was certain school. It's like my mama birthed me to be a linebacker. So when I used to go to the games, I would always see Coach Gay. He was always kind of buffed up, but he was the one I always see saying this, talking to the referee. I'm talking about every time. So as you grow, you go from elementary to middle school, and I'm still seeing the same person up and down the sideline. And then they will have these papers come out every year. In the Tallahassee Democrat and the Gaston County, you'll see a name and again. And I was like, "What? He must be the one always running the show." And we had a guest on today doing it. Another podcast we had named by the name of Greg Taylor. He even mentioned Coach Gay. He said, "Man, he the one who helped him play ball as well during his career, his journey." And Coach Andy Gay, he was the legendary coach for the James A. Shanks HighSchool Tigers in Quincy, Florida. He was one of the coaches who coached Dexter Jackson, Super Bowl MVP, Willie Simmons. Matter of fact, he had a team, y'all, I kid y'all not, he had a team with about 12 D1 players, probably more than that, 12 D1 players on the team. He had a FAMU head coach, Willie Simmons. He was his quarterback. Alex Jackson signed to Georgia. Donnie Young, Troy. Jamal Holt, Troy. Leroy Smith, Florida State. Deontay Fad, FAMU. Ronnie Thomas, Clemson. Big Smitty, FAMU. He also had Big Vaughn and Caboo. They went to Tuskegee. He had a linebacker by the name of Michael Everett, Louisville. Charles Harper, Clemson. Charles Berry, Delta State. I'm probably missing somebody. If I am, y'all, y'all forgive me, but this is what I'm talking about, man. That on that one team that he was the head coach of, he had all them players go to school. But I'm going to go ahead and let C-Mo bring him on.
How you doing, Coach Gay?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's a blessing to have you on, and especially since Mike, he didn't give me the whole lay down about how big time you was, so I feel honored to be in here with you.
Well, I appreciate that, and I was telling Mike before we started this, I remember bringing him up as a JV player, and he was a ninth grader. Mm-hmm. And we knew then he was going to be a special player. He didn't back down from nothing. We'd throw him right into the fire with the bigger boys, and it didn't bother Mike a bit. He was tough as nails.
Sometimes they be just crazy, Coach.
Well, I think that had a little bit to do with it, too.
Because I used to see what
I like those crazy ball players, though, like Mike.
Because my ninth grade year, and I seen them boys on varsity like that, even though I was going to be on varsity that next season in Bartow, them boys were big out there, so he run into the fire like that.
Yeah, he didn't back down from nothing, and I liked that about him, and I knew he was going to be a good ball player.
Now, Coach, I want to jump right into it. Like, did you play college ball?
Nope.
So you just love coaching?
Yeah, and Greg, and you mentioned Greg Taylor a while ago. I was going to school at TCC, and I was working at the Quincy Rec Department. I'd played ball through high school. I wasn't a very big guy back then, so I really didn't have a lot of options to play college football. But I loved football. My dad was a very good football player, and so it was a big part of our life. And I started working as I was working at the recreation department. The John Everett was the head coach at Shanks High School, and Ricky Bell, who's a Leon County legend, was the coaches at Shanks then, and they asked me if I wanted to coach the junior varsity, help coach the junior varsity. I said, absolutely. So that's how I got my start. I started coaching junior varsity in 1983 at Shanks. And after that, I stayed with Coach Bell and Coach Everett at their tenure at Shanks. And then when Coach James took over at Shanks, I was on that staff as well. And then when I started to when I went to school at Florida State, I got a job at Leon High School, coaching the junior varsity there at Leon High School. And after I graduated from Florida State, I came back to Quincy and applied for a job. Coach Johnny Williams, legendary coach Johnny Williams, was the head football coach at Shanks, and he hired me as offensive coordinator back in '92.
Now, Coach, when you got the head coach job, did you already know it was coming? Like, man, boy, when they give me my turn, I'm finna take over and do what I need to do.
Yeah, we had when Coach Williams and I started at Shanks in 1992, we were putting together a program, and I knew in 1995 when I got named the head football coach at Shanks, we had some good things going on. We had some good players coming up. We had some kids that we felt good about. We had a good, strong athletic program at Shanks back then. Our track team was winning state championships, and we had some kids that could run, and we were putting the pieces all together. The first thing I did, though, is I had Coach Williams had Abdul Howard at quarterback, and Willie Simmons had him at receiver.
Yeah.
So the first thing I did is I took Willie Simmons and put him at quarterback, and took Abdul Howard and put him at Z, and we made a living off of throwing a hitch route out there to Abdul. And of course, y'all know Abdul played at Florida State,
right?
And but there was no way I could, justify a kid with an arm like Willie Simmons had,
right,
playing him at wide receiver. So that was the first thing I did. That was the first order of business, to get Simmons at quarterback. And it worked out pretty good for him.
Coach, now see, you hear some key points, and I want to know, see y'all, like I gave y'all the breakdown when I was growing up, and seeing Coach Gay. I remember they end up getting these uniforms looking just like Clemson, looking just like with the pole on the side of the helmet. I remember the helmets, they had air. That was the name of AIR. And I just remember that they had the back flaps. Everything, it's like it stepped up 10,000 times. They was almost looking like a college. And I forgot to mention one player too, Thriller, Michael Jackson. He played at Troy too. He was on that team too. So, Coach, I got to know, how did you organize all that, like with the gear and putting everything together? Cause, like, to me, that's what it really gave me that extra oomph to, like, man, you know what? I want to get that Shanks helmet. I want that pole on the side of the helmet. Like, what? Like, how did you end up doing all that?
At Shanks, unfortunately, during those times, the administration and they didn't put a whole lot into football, and it wasn't fair for our kids to go play other kids, and they have nice things, and we didn't have nice things. So our first order of business was first thing I did is I got a booster club together. And Roger Milton was very instrumental in starting that booster club. And first thing I wanted to do, I wanted our kids to have the nice equipment, and I wanted us to look good just like other schools look good. So I felt like that helped our overall attitude and morale as a football team, for us to have the nice Douglas shoulder pads and have the nice uniforms and look good on Friday night. I felt like you look good, you're going to play good. And our guy, that was a big part of our success, I think, is our kids knew that we were going to invest a lot into them, and they would give a lot back to us.
Coach, now I talked about a team earlier, y'all. It was a 1998 team. Now, Dexter Jackson had a real good team too. But with you having all of these players on this team, I kid you not, man. To me, it was a must do to be every Friday. Make sure I was at that game when y'all played. How was that for you coaching that team? Cause it's like, and they end up losing in the playoffs to Jacksonville Reigns, which I think they got cheated. But this should have been a state championship winning team. But how was it for you, Coach? Like coaching that team, and what's your thoughts on everything? Just looking back at it.
Man, coaching that team was a Willie the year before, and I'll go back the year before. We actually played for the district championship the year before, and lost 56-53. We couldn't stop anybody that year, so I went out and I hired Vic Cully, coach well known around this area, to run our defense, and that was a big difference. And let me just say, I want to make sure that I give all my coaching staff at that time props, because we had a who's who coaching staff. We had Eric Sanders, who played at Duke for Coach Spurrier. He was a Shanks graduate. He came back, and he was our offense coordinator. Ray Matthews, Roderick Glenn, Ricky Smith, had Cully, and we just had a lot of coaches. And the thing about it is, we had those guys at the school too working, and they were able to keep tabs on the guys, and that made a big difference as well. But the '98 team, we lost to Crestview for the district championship that year, and then we ended up making the playoffs in a shootout. We had a shootout with Pace and Rickards over Capitol Stadium, and we won that. And we played Madison in the first round. We jumped on Madison. Madison won the state championship that year, but we jumped out on Madison in that game 20-6 or something like that. They ended up beating us in the fourth quarter. But we came back, and those kids were hungry. They wanted to make a run at it, and we put together a summer passing league. We played 7-on-7 and against other schools. They the FHSAA had approved us to do passing leagues in the summer back then, and we invested a lot into it. And but the thing about it is, our kids they wanted to win. I think we beat everybody we played in Tallahassee that year. I think the only team we didn't play in Tallahassee that year was Lincoln. We didn't play them, but we beat NFC in overtime at Shanks. They were a state championship team that year. They had Tony Milton and Constantine Ritzman and a lot of other D1 players. Probably had just as many as we had back then. But those guys were hungry. But coaching Willie Simmons and having him as your quarterback, that's a pretty nice luxury. There were a lot of, Willie was like having another coach on the field, even back then. I mean, as a senior in high school, he knew our offense as good as our coaches did. There were a lot of times I called timeout and I'd ask him, what do you think? Because he knew what was going on. And having him at quarterback was unbelievable. I think every football coach should have an opportunity to coach a guy like Willie Simmons. He just a football guru. Even back then, Willie was very intelligent. We were very fortunate to have him. Like you mentioned a while ago, we had, I think 9 D1 players on that football team that year. Had 16 guys sign off of that team, and it was a great run. But and in the next year, we were really set up to be really successful the next year, even after all those guys graduated. Had Michael Jackson coming back. He tore his MCL in Game 3 that year, and that was a devastating blow. And then had Donnie Young's twin brother come back, Danny Young, and he tore his ACL like the 6th game of the year. So we were very riddled with injuries that year, and we ended up 5-5, and we lost to Swanee in the playoffs that year. But from 94 to 99 or 93 to 99, we went to the playoffs 5 out of the 6 years. And the only year we didn't go to the playoffs, we played in a bowl game. But I got to say this, there wasn't a whole lot of college recruiters coming to Shanks until Coach Williams got there, and I was on the staff, but Dexter Jackson put us on the map. No doubt about it. He's the one that brought attention to Quincy Shanks High School. Hands down, the best football player, best athlete I've ever coached.
See, Coach, don't say too much more. I got a question to ask you
Okay.
about that.
All right.
Now, I got 2 more questions. So my next question is, how was it for you growing up, like, for your parents, and, like, who inspired you to become the person you are today?
I'd have to say that'd be my dad. Yeah, I had a good childhood. Mom and Dad put a lot into us. I have 2 twin brothers, younger brothers, and then I got an older sister who bullied me. And so she made me tough. I always tell her that. I said, you know, my older sister's the one that made me tough. She would pin me down and on the ground, you know, try to make me get up. But I had a good childhood, and I grew up in Quincy. You know, you go through life and you say, you know, once I really figured out my path, you know, I knew that being the head football coach at Shanks is what I wanted to do. It was one of my goals to be the football coach, but it wasn't just the fact that I wanted to be the football coach. I wanted to be successful. Yeah. And that was, you know, there was a lot of people. You can be a coach of a football team, but you want to do something special. You want to do something that's never been done before. I really wanted that state championship, and I felt like we had our opportunity. And I won't make any negative comments about the Reigns game, but it was, you know, I felt like that was something that got away from us. I think if we'd have played that game at home, it'd have been a different outcome. But that isn't just my opinion. That's the opinion of a lot of folks that were there. But you know, Reigns ended up losing to Madison. We lost to Madison. We played Madison in the regular season that year. I don't know if you remember this, Mike, but we lost to them 35-28. We had 2 touchdowns called back.
Yeah, I remember because Ray
Y'all
Ray
played them at they spot.
Played them at our place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember because Ray ran like for a 60-yard touchdown, I think. I remember that.
Yep, and Ronnie got called for a pass interference in the end zone, which was a offensive pass interference in the end zone. Caught the ball, and, you know, they said he pushed off. But anyway, you know, we really wanted another shot at Madison that year. We felt like we were a better football team, and they ended up winning state that year.
So that basically would have most likely been your state year.
Yeah, Yep, that would have been it. Now, Dexter's senior year, we that was a you know, he was a one man. Of course, I say he's a one man show, but I mean, we went to Swanee. Mike Pittman was at Live Oak, and we went into the pit. And, of course, they had, you know, they were all wearing their state championship rings because they were dominating high school football back then. And I can remember before the game started, Coach Pittman came over and, you know, he was talking to Coach Williams and I, and he said, you know, when we play so-and-so next week, and I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute, you haven't beat us yet. And, of course, you know, you play at Swanee back in those days, it was a packed house. I mean, it was like going to a college football game. And Dexter, I think, in that football game, he threw 2 touchdown passes to Pop Williams. He played on defense. He intercepted a pass or 2, and he kicked every extra point. We beat Swanee 35-28, and I think we took the lead real late that night. And man, you talk about a quiet crowd. But I had that VCR tape for years. I need to try to find it. But you talk about a dominating performance from a high school football player. That was unbelievable to watch that. Dexter Jackson, I mean, he put on a show that night.
Well, with that being said, Coach, this is the last question. Now, y'all know this question always bring a little controversy. It's good. It's good now, but I got to ask Coach now because he done seen a lot. And
you already know who his number 1 is.
Yeah, we already know. We kind of heard who his number 1. So we're going to let him give the Quincy top 5 from his view. So, Coach, go ahead and give us your top 5 players.
Well, you know, that's tough because I don't want to hurt any of my ball players' feelings.
Yeah.
You know, I love my guys. You know,
Yeah.
But you know, no doubt, Dexter Jackson, definitely number 1. Just from an athlete standpoint and from a football playing standpoint. And, you know, and I used to take Dexter home every day. And I got tired of hearing it, but he said, Coach, I'm going to play in the NFL. Coach, I'm going to play in the NFL. You know, and he played, 11 seasons in the NFL, Super Bowl MVP. He was a man of his word, but just, you know, he's state champion hurdler, played on the basketball team, was a really good basketball player, and, you know, what he did football-wise and what he did to bring attention to Shanks High School and get college recruiters to come back to Shanks High School. You know, I'd have to say he's definitely number one. Of course, Simmons, you know, I'd say he's definitely in that top 5. Donnie Young, and a lot of people don't know about Donnie, but, you know, Donnie was just a hard-nosed football player. And, you know, he had 16 unassisted tackles in against Swanee in the first round of playoffs in '98.
What position he played?
He was a linebacker.
Oh, okay.
And I was telling Mickey Baker outside a while ago, I said, a lot of people don't remember this. I said, Donnie Young was my starting wheel linebacker, but I had him deep on kickoffs.
Yeah.
He returned a kickoff against Raines in the region final, 92 yards for a touchdown.
I remember him.
And Mickey says, Coach, you had your starting linebacker deep on the kickoff. I said, hey, it's all about the heart. I said, I knew if he got his hands on that football, he's going to do everything he could to score. And he did. But Donnie was a very special player. Abdul Howard. Abdul was just cut out of the same cloth as Dexter. Just tough, never got hurt. Just big. He ended up playing NFL Europe. I don't know whether y'all remember the NFL Europe days, but he was He was Defensive Player of the Year in NFL Europe. And Abdul went on, had a good career at Florida State, won a national championship at Florida State. Where am I at now, Fig?
You got one more.
Got one more. Wow, that's going to be tough. Boy, I hate you asked me that. I got so many options there, but I'm gonna have to, and I'm gonna do it from the standpoint of what they meant to their team. Okay? From the standpoint of what they meant to their team, what I mean by that, I felt like just having them on the team meant you were, going to do a lot of things and be successful. I'd have to say that my 5th one would be Alex Jackson.
Yes, sir. But Georgia Bulldog, he was an offensive tackle, y'all.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about he was one of the first big guys I saw. Cut up, tall, strong.
Yeah.
But clean cut guy too, believe it or not now. And, he was a guy who was a dominator on the field. Like, I remember seeing an All-Star game. He was at the All-Star game, the Georgia-Florida All-Star game. He started at Georgia, y'all, as a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. So he a 4-year starter for the Georgia Bulldogs when he played back then. So,
and he's coaching right now, too.
Yeah. He a coach.
State.
Yeah, he an offensive line coach right now at Alabama State. So that's Coach Gay top 5, and you can't deny all them guys, they top-notch players. And y'all, I got to give it up to Coach Gay again. This is one of the legendary coaches that you'll have in you serve small time that did a lot. He was one of the best. And he was somebody I got to see up close in person because he one of my coaches as well. But I'm going to leave y'all how I always leave y'all. Keep your head up and not down, or else you'll fall to the ground. This is the Life of Football Podcast.
This is a new day to live your life. This is a new day to try to get right. This is a new day to get on track. Yeah, that's life in football. This is a new day to live your life. This is a new day to try to get right. This is a new day to get on track. Yeah, that's life in football. It's